Now, I'm going to ask a question. You can just raise your hand if you respond appropriately. Raise your hand if you've seen this in any movie that you have ever seen. A cigarette butt tumbles in slow motion into a pool of gasoline, creating an enormous fireball. Have you ever seen that? You probably haven't been to a movie lately if you haven't seen something like that. It's just like, and as it slowly tumbles, it's just kind of like, we're ready for the explosion. And of course, it is ear-splitting, and it is eyebrow-raising, and it is like, when it shows up on the screen. But it's only in the movies. Seriously, it is only in the movies. A forensic expert in fire working for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms decided to do some research. Now, this has got to be a great job to have. He wanted to see whether or not this was really going to happen. Does this happen in real life? And so he decided to set up test sites where somebody would flip the cigarette into a fire with the gasoline, or with the gasoline around the car, and flip the cigarette in and see if the whole thing would explode. They had dropped burning cigarettes into trays of gasoline. They had got one of these spray bottles and sprayed a fine mist of gasoline on it. They tried over 2,000 times. Like I said, it's a great gig if you can get it. 2,000 times! And it never happened. Never. Nothing blew up. Why? Well, this researcher says that he thinks that there's a layer of ash on the tobacco which prevents the ignition. Doesn't cause it to happen. And the vapors from the gasoline naturally move away from the hottest part of the cigarette. All right, miscellaneous trivia you'll be able to share with your friends, and they're going to say, yeah, right, You'll be sitting in the movie and go, that's fake. I can see it now. But there are a boatload of things that happen in movies that just never, ever happen in real life. I mean, think about it. The hero of the movie is driving his automobile, and he's got to get to this particular building, and he drives, and right in front of the building is a parking spot. Only in the movie. It never happens for you and me. I mean, we found that out yesterday. Aaron and I took two of the kids, and we went down to Lincoln, and we were going to go into this parking lot and park the car and get on a bus and ride over to the stadium. And we got into this parking lot, and we thought, Aaron brought the little handicap sticker because we had Jack with us. We couldn't find a parking spot anywhere near where the buses were at. So I know it only happens in the movie. You ever see a movie about Paris, France? You ever notice that no matter what window you look out in Paris, France, you can see the Eiffel Tower? Okay. And have you ever noticed that the most plain, or even, I know this is going to sound terribly sexist, even the ugly girls become absolutely stunningly beautiful when they remove their glasses and fluff their hair? Right? I mean, come on. Now I don't feel bad because you're all laughing because you know how true it is. And then anybody, you, me, anyone could land a 747 jet as long as there was somebody in the control tower that could talk you down. Anybody could do it. Right? Thank you. And then, of course, I love the one. You see this big fight scene, and somebody fires a gun, and they shoot a car, and the car explodes. That ain't gonna happen either. I hate to blow, disappoint, but it's just not gonna happen. It only happens in the movies. So So what's it got to do with the text? I think that there are some of us that really believe that what we read, no, it's not. What we read about just doesn't happen. We read about the woman who drops and loses a coin. And she stops what she does. She cleans the entire house to find one coin. I really wanted to bring a roll of pennies up here and stop the entire service till I found all 50 of them once it was dropped. But I was afraid that would probably take me quite a bit of time, so even if I had the kids volunteer to help me pick them up. Sometimes reading the Bible is like going to the movies because you gotta wonder whether or not this is really what happened. A man leaving 99 sheep to go look for a lost one? Really? Sheep? From what I understand about sheep are not exactly the smartest animal in the world. And you leave 99 of them over here to go look for one, and you bring that one back, and those 99 are in 99 different places. It's not going to happen. So we wonder, say, wait a minute, this seems so surreal. It's kind of like, what did I see? A movie where someone walks out, and in the middle of the rain, they start to dance. See that in the movie? And they start to dance, and all of a sudden, everybody on that block gathers around and starts to dance with them. And they all know the steps. It's kind of crazy. But a lost sheep, a lost coin, we want to think it only happens in the gospel. Maybe it's God's truth and not necessarily human truth. So let's take a look at the text and see if we can figure things out a little bit. Today's passage from Luke begins, Jesus is crushed by a number of tax agents and lowlifes who have come to listen to him. That sounds real upbeat, doesn't it? Okay? But this was the type of people he attracted. People wanted to hear because he didn't seem to push them away. He didn't seem to say, no, you're not my type. I'm going to go hang out at the palace. Jesus invited them in, and they listened. And they listened to the stories that Jesus would tell. And the first couple verses that we read from Luke, the Pharisees gathered around, and with venom, dare we say, they were sitting there grumbling and, look at who Jesus hangs out with. Really? We wouldn't hang out with them folk. Look who he hangs out with. Well, maybe there's one time that we see it only happen in the gospel. So in response, Jesus starts telling a couple parables. He starts telling some stories. I think that's one of the reasons why people loved him so much. I love to hear a good story. And I'll sit and stop whatever I'm doing when somebody starts to tell a story, and I want to hear it. And I think that was true with people in Jesus' time. They wanted to hear the stories. And Jesus always seemed to tell the stories that made perfect sense to the audience. So he's telling the story, and he talks about the shepherd with 100 sheep who loses one and leaves the 99. Now, like I said, it doesn't sound too sensible. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense that that's what a shepherd would do. And then he finds the sheep, he puts the sheep on his shoulders, and walks back to the other 99. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of like another movie scene with a martial arts character, and you got one good guy who is a martial arts expert, and you've got 400 guys coming in to beat him up, and he wipes them all out, all of them. And they're done. And he's just sitting there afterwards going, and he walks off the set. It's kind of that same thinking. It's like, it's only in the movies. Or maybe it's only in the Gospels. But the story is not about shepherding sheep. The story is about human shepherding. It's about a shepherd who is divine. It's about God who feels joy and he celebrates when he finds that one person that comes back. That one person that finally realizes, I've got to be there. I've got to come back in a relationship with God. It's God's way of celebrating. And Jesus put it this way: just so there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over the 99 righteous who need no repentance. Do we celebrate like that when somebody comes back to church? Do we? I mean, I know we may not have 99 here, but I mean, think about it. We're here, we're worshiping, and a lot of us are here every week, and then all of a sudden, someone comes back, and it's like, oh, hi, how are you? Like they've been here all along. And we ought to be up here doing, dare I take the insurance commercial ad, break out into our happy dance. This is what we ought to be doing. This is what Jesus said he's doing. This is what's going on in heaven. Someone who has not been in church for 20 years, and all of a sudden they come back, and it's like, I need to come back. I need to follow through with what I started in life. And I'm back. And we just, okay. Is that the way we should act? I don't think so. Not according to the gospel. There's more joy over a tax collector who repents than over 99 Pharisees. There's more delight in heaven for a prostitute who repents than over 99 religious teachers. There is more rejoicing over a drug dealer that repents than over 99 clean and sober Christians. Yes, that's right. You get one person to come back after so many years of being captured and being a slave to drugs or alcohol. We ought to party in an appropriate way. We ought to party and celebrate that that person is back. Not just go, okay, you're back. We need to really get excited about that. We ought to be happy and celebrate when a career criminal comes to Christ than over the 99 who are already law-abiding citizens. Now, I don't know about you, but there's a part of me that just is very frustrated with that. And this is going to be out there for everybody to see because Carolyn's recording it right now. This is frustrating for me. God, I have been so good for all these years. I haven't done what they've done. I haven't done what that one did. And I sure didn't do what that one over there did. Pay attention to me, doggone it. And God says, I'm going to celebrate when that one who walked out of church right after confirmation and never stepped back and foot in church until they retired. And you're going to celebrate with them, and I'm left holding the trash bag as people are done partying, right? Yeah. That's what it says. That's what it says. Are we ready to accept that? Some people, it just doesn't seem right. But God says, rejoice with me, for I have found the sheep that was lost. You know, it only happens in the gospel. There was a Bible scholar by the name of John Crossan. And Crossan specializes in the historical look at Jesus. and making a point that when Jesus tells a parable, that's just the way that God would respond on earth if he were in Caesar's throne at the time. You know, that going into an election year, that kind of puts some things into perspective. It doesn't make any difference if it's a Democrat or a Republican or anyone else. Their decisions shape the world. Their influence of our understanding is all out there. And what doesn't make sense is if God were there, that's not the way things would happen in this country or in this world. So what does God celebrate over? What does God celebrate over? Sometimes I think, we look at these elections, and I think that the best day for an individual who is elected president is the day they get elected, and their second best day is the day they leave office. Or at least maybe in their mind, their happiest day. It's kind of like the story of the vote, but you can kind of fill that one in, right? So what gives God pleasure? When the lost are found. When the broken are healed. When the alienated are reconciled. When the sick are made well. When the dead are made alive. When the oppressed are lifted up. When the prisoner is released. When the humble have been exalted. The religious leaders of Jesus' days could do no happy dance. They weren't too thrilled with this whole concept. They really weren't. They didn't understand what really makes God happy. They couldn't picture God who, when a sinner comes back to true faith in Christ and wants to be reunited with him, they can't picture God going, yes. They can't. Why? Because they've been here all along. By no, we deserve it. It doesn't make any sense to them. It just doesn't make any sense. Every time a lost lamb finds its way back, Jesus is going, woo! And the rest of them are sitting around, where am I, chopped liver? I'm right here. You're not paying attention to me. But Jesus is just saying, guys, you just gotta understand it from my perspective. From my point of view. The second parable is, dare I make it sound like a gospel reading, the second parable is like the first. The second parable, the story of the woman who loses the coin. Now, you have to understand, and we go back historically and we say the woman had 10 coins, silver coins, and lost one. 10 silver coins were about worth 1 day's wage. Okay, I want you to think about what you made or what you made in 1 day's wage. Okay? You're walking along the street and you see a penny on the street. You pick it up. You see a nickel on the street. You pick it up. You see a quarter on the street. I'm not even picking up quarters anymore. You walk down the street and you see 1/10 of your daily wage on the street. I don't know what you think. All of a sudden you're walking across to the post office and you see a $10 bill lying in the dirt. Maybe you're making more than that. Maybe you sit there and you see a $50 bill lying in the gutter. And you say, $50 bills, we don't see those very often, that must be counterfeit. You just walk right on by. Really? Let's think about it from this woman's perspective. She has lost 1/10 of her daily wage. So what does she do? She goes through this massive spring cleaning of her house trying to find this coin. And then she comes home, and this is the thing that probably blows most people away. She comes home and she tells her neighbors, "You found what? Big. party? You're going to have a party that you found this coin. The party is going to cost more than the coin. And you're going to have a party to celebrate that you found this coin? Oh my. Only in the gospel would this happen, right? And then, during the part of the story that talks about the celebration, Jesus says, "Just so I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." Maybe the question for us to ask ourselves now is, are we ready to celebrate? Are we ready to party? Are we ready? I almost called the sermon title that. Ready to party. Are we ready to celebrate when that one kid who has robbed us blind, who has cheated on all these tests, who has just been the bully on the bus, when this one kid finally gets his act together and comes back and tries to make amends, do we say, "Wow, yes"? Or the kid who is responsible for one unsportsmanlike penalty every single game because of all the cheap shots, and we turn him into the captain because he is such an honorable young man? Is that going to happen? I know where in God's kingdom it does. When we have the opportunity to share in God's joy, it should empower us. It should strengthen us to continue that work of reconciling people to God. This is not an attaboy. This is people being brought from the kingdom of hell into the kingdom of God. This is something that we ought to celebrate over. When the lost are found, God wants to throw a party. He wants to throw a party because the lost are His children, and they've come back. Some of you understand that really well, and you've seen it with your own kids. You have a child who has been a mock child. And then you have a child who has been hellion with a capital H. And when that one who is a rabble-rouser, a troublemaker, and had given you more grief and made you spend more time on your knees in prayer than anybody else, when that one finally comes back, what do? You're a parent. You celebrate. Just because you're celebrating when that one comes back does not mean you don't care about the others. You celebrate. And God is doing the same thing. And if we take the words of Jesus from another parable that He told, how much more would God, who is perfect, would respond in a perfect manner? You would do it in your sinfulness as a human being with your kids. Why shouldn't I be able to do it with my kids? And I'm perfect. That's what God is saying in this story. May each of us be like the ancient Hebrews. When they heard the description, or they heard the proclamation of Nehemiah, and it said, they all went away to eat and to drink and to send portions of food and to celebrate with great joy, because now they understand the words that have been made known to them. Because we have heard the words and we've been brought into the celebration, yes! Let's celebrate. And let's hope it's not only in the gospel. Let's hope that it's in our everyday life. Let's pray.